I think just moving on from that section slightly and coming back to another, I'll say frustration that I've heard from contractors in relation to wholesalers is the stock levels. I mean, we've alluded to that already. But we spoke to a guy, Aaron Fleming Sahid from Cycling Sparks. So that was just a short while ago, and he was advocating for wholesalers to develop their stock levels and build at the space, because he's seen trading estates just being levelled throughout London in space for luxury flats and things like that. So is that something that you would want to see?
Yeah, funny enough you mentioned that. So literally, we were working in Dagenham
right
a few weeks ago, and we went to a wholesaler there. Not one I use very often, but we went in there, and I'm thinking, we're in London. I'm going to be able to get what I need.
Right.
How could I have been more wrong? Honestly, it was horrendous. We needed quite a lot of. I say a lot. It was about 30 lengths of like 6-inch steel tray and loads of armoured and things like that, and I couldn't get half of what I needed, and I was quite shocked. I've never experienced that. So my local wholesalers, to be honest, they are very good.
Right.
You know, we're in Devon. It's a small place. It's not like there's lots and lots of massive development going on. But their stock levels are always really good. I can 90% of the time always get what I need.
Okay.
But I was just shocked. East London, I could not get 30 legs of tray. It was mad. But yeah, I suppose it's just keeping it relative, isn't it, to where you are?
Yeah.
You know, because a tiny little branch, you know, in the deepest, darkest depths of Cornwall isn't going to need to hold as much as someone in central London, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, stock levels, obviously, you know, again, that will dictate what you're buying. You know, if, you know, obviously Nulek is your own brand, you're going to keep a significant amount of that in comparison to perhaps other brands. But I might not want to use Nulek, and it's a difficult one. That it's stock levels are important, definitely. It's tailoring to what your clients want, I suppose. Like my wholesalers, like I said before, they are very good, and they sort of listen to what we want and what we use, and they tailor their stock to suit that. So
okay, is that something that's on the Rexel agenda, or something that you've seen yourself? Have you seen a big decline in wholesaler stock levels, and would you like to see it come back up?
Well, I suppose to answer it, I've got to be more Excel specific.
Yeah.
Because I don't have visibility, obviously, of my competitors' stock holding, stock levels. I think if you look at it from a Rexel perspective, I think stock is constantly one of the issues for any wholesaler. I think all of the problems link back to the same kind of route, which is, what do you keep?
Right.
What's the contractor going? You know, in very simplistic terms, if you have 10 contractors, 10 customers, then getting your stock right is going to be easy.
Right.
Yeah. When you take the average branch having 300, 400, 500 customers, it gets more difficult to say, what should we keep, when it's two things happen. One, most, if not all, wholesalers are driven by computer systems. Yeah, and this is not a Luddite moment of being anti-computer systems. But as I said earlier, before we started recording, you know, in my younger days within wholesaling, you know, we kept stock levels very much based on visual. So we would walk around the branch weekly and do a stock list. You know, basically, if there was a hole somewhere or a very low level of stock, we filled it up. There was no historical demand. There was no was taking you 2 years to sell the 50 you had before. So buying another 50 is not commercially viable.
Right.
So I think that's part of the problem, is that this everybody's trying to be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
Rather than say, no, we don't do that brand, but we have this brand as an alternative.
Right.
So because the breadth has got wider, the depth has got less.
Okay.
So there's less stock of any particular, but there's wider offer.
Right.
So maybe we say, you know, in when I can't remember, I'll make it up. Yeah, you know, there might have been 100 items in the branch, but we had plenty of stock because that's what we were a wholesaler.
Yeah.
And over the years, wholesalers have gone from being a wholesaler to a distributor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, wholesalers moved to distributor. Now, for me, that was just a fancy word because somebody obviously didn't like wholesalers or call themselves a distributor. And now we're migrating even further beyond that to, certainly from a Rexel perspective, to be a service provider. But within each of these evolutionary steps, you lose something of the root of what you were. And let's be honest, margins today are not margins when I was growing up in this industry. You know, however successful you are as a wholesaler today, and I'm sure the same applies in contractors and manufacturers, margins are much thinner today, much tighter today. Therefore, there is a stringent control over cash flow. You know, payment terms today, I mean, when I was a rep for the first time, I used to go round my contractors and collect a check.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regular as clockwork.
Yeah.
And I was out on a Friday night at 9-10 o'clock at night because these guys are working. They're not going to be there when it suits me during the day. They're out on the tools. They're working. So I had to go round every night and pick the money up. Now, you know, payment terms 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So accountants, bless them, within a lot of these businesses, and particularly within wholesaling now, are rigidly controlling cash flow, available cash. That's impacting stock. Now you can only stock basically what you sell, and that always has, in my opinion, created a problem.
Right.
Because if you sell 10 cups, you stock 10 cups.
Yeah.
You sell 10 cups, you stock 10 cups. You think you're doing a good job. Nobody's saying, but every time Theo comes in, he wants 20.
Yeah.
And when we say we haven't got 20, we only got 10, I'll go
Yeah.
somebody else. So we proliferate the problem because we're being driven by a system now, not by visual, not by experience. And I don't want to sound like a Luddite that I'm suddenly, computers have ruined the business. There's still people in the business.
Yeah.
But I see it more and more around this sell 10, buy 10, sell 10, buy 10.
Yeah.
We're not able to capture lost business. That's our problem. We don't capture lost business. Now, again, sorry to keep harping on about being young, but I was once, and I like to remember. We used to keep a book under the tray counter.
Right.
Yeah, and my old boss taught me if they ask for something and you can't supply it, or you can't supply all of it, you write it down. You write it down. That never happens today because everybody's driven by the system.
Right.
And the system is saying we sold 100 lengths of conduit, we want 100 lengths of conduit. We sold 100. And so your perception is you're actually fulfilling. It's why I alluded to when I said in the first one, tell me what you want. Tell me what the real issue is. Because I think I'm fulfilling your demand.
Yeah.
Because I'm not capturing what you actually want because I don't know your business well enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know your business well enough because you don't trust me well enough.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the bit that differs when I talked about trust in other countries, where the contractor and the wholesaler are much closer together, that they're actually discussing not what you need today, but what you might need in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
I've got these products, I've got these projects coming up, they're going to have these types of products. Yeah. We're not in that space. We're in the, I've got the job now, I need this, I need 20 lengths of 6-inch cable tray, and you ain't got it. Yeah. So I think you've got a combination of things. You've got a combination of too much of wholesaling now is driven by inventory systems that are just capturing actual sales, not lost demand. And you've got this, we're adverse to sharing forward thinking.
Right.
Because we kind of think well, one of us is going to abuse it.
Yeah.
You know, Rexel, if I tell Rexel about my business in 6 months' time, you know, I'm putting all my eggs in one basket with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are they going to do with it? They might go out now and try and switch sell the product, or, well, Theo's going to want this product in 6 months' time. Let's see if we can find a cheaper version of it or whatever. Or maybe we'll go and try and sell that to somebody else and betray his trust.
Right.
That's the bit that you know I was alluding to about where we need to move the industry forward, because they all have these knock-on effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you touched on that in your last video between the two of you about how it is also last minute. I come in and I want it today or tomorrow, you know, but this is a job that I've been dealing with my client for 2 months, you know, and we probably, in a sense of you guys selling reactive or proactive, we probably need to be the same, really. You know, a bit more proactive with our ordering ahead of schedule, and then you guys, like you say, you can tailor your stock levels to suit that rather than just saying this is what we've got, or whatever.
I think most wholesalers, and I'm trying to keep this broad without drifting back into a Rexel specific selling session. You know, those 56 years haven't all been with Rexel. They've been with other wholesalers. So I'm trying to put this from a wholesaler generally rather than Rexel specific. Most wholesalers can fulfill what a contractor needs. But it is that visibility aspect, whether it be on regular demand, because dependency on a system takes away the interaction with the person. That's my belief. At the end of the day, if you knew what somebody wanted, if you knew your customer well enough, as we used to do in the old days when you had to do everything manually. You knew well, Theo has MK wire and accessories, he has, I'll give my age away now, Thorn pop packs. You know, he's going to have, Pirelli cable. There's another one. You could tailor your stock around that. You could do that. With the technology now, it counteracts that. You put 5,000 meters in, and the system says you only need 3. And if you're working for a big organisation, you're going to be penalised. Because that's excess stock. So you're actually, well, don't put 5. I know he wants 5. We'll put 3 in. That'll keep him happy to start with. And then we get the balance in it when he needs it. And that's all very clever, but it's not very sophisticated, and it goes wrong because someone either forgets to order the other 2,000 meters or something like that, or you can't order the 2,000 meters because the lead time goes out. So it is this. If you're going to improve it, you've got to take that extra step beyond what we do and say, can we? I'm not saying it would solve the problem, but I'm saying we can't capture the lost demand. So that bit is difficult for us. Because unless we keyed in 100, and we only ship 50, so we know the demand was 100, but the actual usage was 50. We actually only key in the 50 we sell. So again, we capture, it's 50. Now, so we're out of kilter with that. But on the bigger projects and forward planning, we don't do enough of it. And when we do it, it goes horrendously wrong because there are all kinds of constraints around it. It might be that it's a physical requirement that the local branch can't fulfill. It's not big enough. It can't hold a certain amount of stock to fulfill the demand, so it's still trying to second guess on a back-to-back basis.